What's up? It's out there. We are back on once again, show 104.
Yes.
No. Actually, I gotta check out Harris Heller had a video out today, like some of the most hyped things to do on YouTube or something. I don't know. I didn't watch it yet, but I wanted to.
Okay.
Or some of the most hyped YouTube items, I think. Something. I can't remember. But I'm gonna have to check it out. We got a big show for you though. Well, not big. It's actually a small show because it always is a small show. But it's we got some fun stuff though. Cool stuff to talk about.
It's varied.
It is varied. Yeah. It's a little different. Gonna go a little longer on a subject tonight, so that's kind of interesting. There's that for all of you people that are so interested. Synchronize our stopwatches, and here we go. Gonna say 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Hey everybody, welcome. Not your average show. Corey and Mike, how are you doing on this wonderful April 14th, 2022?
Excellent. This Thursday evening. Yeah, good. Yeah. Yep.
You're doing well.
Good. I am doing well.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. I don't think
yourself.
I'm okay. It's been a long week, but yet I'm okay. We got a lot to talk to everybody about, but just going to lay down the topics tonight. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk and the Twitter takeover. He went from 9.2 billion straight off the deep end. We're going to talk about that for a little bit. We got Airbus is testing quote unquote bird wings. They're actually putting some devices through testing right now that mimic bird flight slightly. And then we talked about it a few months ago. SpinLaunch, something that's near and dear to our hearts, is another way to get something to space while NASA's taking it for a spin. So that's going to be kind of cool.
Yes, quite.
Yes, but literally NASA's stepping in to
exactly. They're like, hey, we want to fling things up into orbit. I mean, sure, why not?
Why not? And so
it's like fun.
It would be fun. No, it'd be fun to fling things up in orbit, not humans. You can't fling. So we talked about this earlier. You cannot use their technology to do anything else but items.
Yeah, no. The amount of G-forces in there, as one could imagine, are immense. So no.
Yeah. So you said you're doing good. Anything else special happening for you this week? This holiday weekend coming up? Anything special?
No, I don't think so. Yourself?
Easter egg hunt for the little guy. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the zoo.
Our guy doesn't. He just lays there, so there won't be any hunting.
Nope. You can put eggs like in the corner of his crib and see if you can find them under a teddy bear.
No, he doesn't really. He rolls, right?
Maybe he'll roll to an egg.
Accidentally.
Hey, I found this by rolling over. Just remember.
Hey, what is this thing?
Just remember, Corey. Be more egg, right?
Be
more egg.
Yes, exactly. Yes, be more.
Yeah, we got family in town, so we're probably going to the zoo. We're probably gonna do some other cool stuff. We went and had a dinner with sharks on Sunday at SeaWorld or Saturday, whatever. It was fun.
Oh wow, that's cool.
All right, so let's get started, shall we? Are you ready?
We
shall. You ready to start the conversation?
Please, let's.
Don't.
What?
Because you make it sound like it's not interesting, and then I wonder, are we interesting enough?
Hey, David. How's it
going? David. Yes, welcome. It gets easier as a father. LOL. It
gets easier.
Boy, let's hope.
Yeah.
David must be.
I'm a bit behind Mike here, but yeah, we're just tired. That's all. Yeah. But it's going great. It's good, but we just tired.
It's funny because I'm not seeing anyone actually watching. So maybe we're getting spoofed by Facebook, not by YouTube. We're not getting our proper stream analytics because David's apparently watching but not watching. Hello, David.
He's in stealth mode.
He is. He's ghosting us. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna kick it off. Take it right off the top. Well, as we mentioned earlier, Elon Musk. This one comes to you from the New York Post. Has basically, well, he's done it. He's tendered an offer for a hostile takeover of Twitter for the large sum of $41 billion. I think the last check is he's worth $248 billion. So this is a pittance almost for his network worth, but he's basically claiming at this point, hey, it's for free speech and the globe. And basically he's offering a price of $54.20 per share. That represents a 38% premium to Twitter's stakeholders. Now, one of the other largest stakeholders, one of the sheiks somewhere else already said, nah, he's going to reject it. And then Mark Cuban actually tweeted that, it'd be really cool if Thiel and Musk went in on it together, and that would blow everybody's mind, make everybody go ape shit crazy. Lots of Twitter universe storm going on out there. Corey, first off, man, what's your thoughts? Because we talk about Musk a lot for his endeavors in SpaceX and Tesla and all the things that he's done successfully. He thought about maybe making his own social media company, and then everyone speculated he's going to buy Twitter. Here he is buying Twitter. What's your thoughts?
So on my end, I do have a Twitter, and I have used it a bit in the past, but I'm not really like big into Twitter. I'm not really big into social media, to be honest. But what I'll kind of go with on my kind of view on it is, of course, Elon. We know he's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla, he's got other things going on. He's got a diversified kind of idea of what he's doing, right? So I know also that Twitter in the past, or rather the SEC, has gone after Musk via Twitter in the past too. So I think for my end, I would just hope that it wouldn't be something that would. I mean, okay, even if Elon was to buy it and then own Twitter, and he made some changes, and then he would say, okay, if there's more free speech here. We're not going to limit what you can say on Twitter. However that ends up looking, I don't think that's going to save him from the SEC.
Well, maybe not. Well,
the SEC, right? Because if he was to just put out a press release, or to call his friends and say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy this," and something else that the SEC wouldn't like, they could still go after him. It doesn't really matter if he owns a company or not. That wasn't really the thing. So I guess on my end, if it's truly, and I think again, we don't know Elon and all that, but speculation, probably it is just for free speech.
Okay, I'm gonna say, but wait, he's had controversial tweets before, right? He's called a guy pedo, right? He's had a couple. He's thrown a couple out there before, but let's not forget.
I understand.
He's also got 81.8 million followers. I think he's the ninth most popular person on Twitter right now as we speak. Okay, I think the list currently goes.
Yeah, where is that? I
think it goes 8th. He's 8th. I think the list goes Barack Obama, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Rihanna,
yeah, I got
Cristiano Ronaldo, Taylor Swift, Donald Trump before he was Lady Gaga, okay, before he's extricated from the platform. Now, here's the thing. Everybody wants him to bring back Trump. Everybody wants him to change free speech. He's talking about making this private, right? So his ideology is he has more control over the company if he takes it private, which is his right should he do that. Now, the question is, what does that mean for people that look at a tech company and that they have the ability to preserve free speech, right? But they've stepped in Twitter and Facebook over the past year, and they have busted that policy for some very questionable items. So what do you think? Where do you think that leaves us in the whole free speech argument? Where can a tech company literally go out there and do that to a news media outlet, or literally just take things off at their own free will? Is that free speech? Because I don't think it is.
It's pretty interesting, right? If you think about it and step back, you're like, okay, if you were to walk outside and yell at the guy across the street, anything, technically you could do that, right? Well, there are some limitations. Certain people obviously can't verbally threaten people, like the president, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But you technically can say whatever you want just in a public forum. And I guess what they're saying is, since this is now, or would be a privately owned entity as Twitter, then would they enjoy the same free speech abilities as an entity,
like
a person,
the same
would
protection?
Be, a person,
I get that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know.
So here's my thoughts on it, right?
Yeah, look, I don't know. What are you guys thinking? I mean, if you guys are, I mean, David, I know David's here. What do you think, man? What are you thinking? Well, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thoughts. My thoughts are that, look, once it becomes a private company, he's basically, it's game on. He can do whatever he wants, right? And that's the whole premise of having a private company. Like Donald Trump's in the process right now trying to launch Truth Social for the same exact reason. But from the perspective of technology, and does a tech company or a social media company that's primarily exchanged as a quote unquote tech company have the ability to do that? And what protectionism is there for individuals and how they treat that corporation as a quote unquote private entity changes the whole ball game, right? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer there is, but it begs the question, because you're blending the line now where tech has become media in and of itself, as social media has become almost the scoop on news media. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like this dog eat dogs chain kind of events, right? Social media has in turn put in their own interpreters for what they allow as quote unquote content, and they've actually
Right.
censored some press outlets. Now, the other part of that is, though, when you're actually paying attention to what's on in the press these days, a lot of times breaking news happens on Twitter. They show you a video.
Mhm.
This came straight from a viewer on Twitter. This came straight from Facebook.
Or
This came
TikTok,
from some
random
right
stuff.
from other
Yeah.
stuff, which is breaking news. So Twitter has the ability to scoop the news, right, in that entity. David says, I
And
think,
that's leveraged, of course, by the tech, so.
yeah, and so David comes back. I think that free speech of the individual should be protected, but that of a corporation, big data, should be severely restricted. Okay, so but does that
Mhm.
mean? So Corey, I'm going to pose this question to you. Does that
Sure.
mean even as a privately held corporation, they have the right to quote unquote censor?
If you were to walk into your privately held business,
Mm,
can you say whatever you want there to whomever you want in
it's
the
not going to
public
offend
forum?
them.
You know, if it was if it was to be, if you're going to be representing, and I know, in a way, you're representing a company, and then you say something, you can't do that, right?
Right.
If you're representing a company, but of course, these people are leveraging the technology that is Twitter and the internet to say whatever they want, and like I said, it's a bit weird because in the past, let's go, a bit further back. The news was, you talk to a reporter, they'd write it in the paper, you'd buy the paper, and this is the news. It's something I didn't know. I read it. I'm now more educated about XYZ. Boom, it's news.
Right.
But now, of course, like you said, anybody with a freaking camera phone can be like, "Shoop," and then post it on the internet. And oh man, this thing happened down the street, and that's technically news because it's
True.
something nobody else knew prior to you,
Sure.
posting
I
it.
agree with that.
So it blurs the lines. This is nothing new, or blurring the lines of everything
Yeah, no, and
with
that's my thought is that
So
this
yeah.
is really setting up to be a strange paradigm because he firmly believes that free speech is part of it, but then again,
Hmm.
a person with that much wealth, obviously people are going to question the fact that he could use this as you let off the conversation uh to make better bets on future investments and basically become almost like what was that
Hmm.
little stock deal thing that with GameStop? Who were those people called? Bets, what was it? Wall
Wall
Street
Street
Bets,
bets.
right? Almost like his own little
Yeah,
Wall
well, they
Street
were,
Bets, which is
yeah.
kind of funny, but
Mhm.
not to say it. Now, here's the other thing. Will he pull it off? So here's the thing. I think he will, but he already said that this is his final offer. He will not go any higher, right?
Right.
But I think it's very hard for the board to actually not suggest this to shareholders and say, look, we should accept this offer because even potential future earnings, you have to wait for this thing to go back up to a
Mhm.
place where it was just about 6 months ago, where it's lost a tremendous amount of value. And there's lots of
Yeah, what do they say? 30% over what
I
it's
think it's like
worth? Is that where'd you
38%,
see
right?
it?
So here's the thing, there's lots of
Yeah.
people out there that think that Twitter is doomed. I think that this is really and Elon Musk was one of them saying that if the platform doesn't change, sign them off,
Right.
right? They're done. So
Right.
what's your
Yep.
thoughts on that?
Tech is such a fickle thing. You guys know, if you look at tech and anything on the internet, like things go through cycles and it kind of moves kind of quickly. And unless your company, a tech company, kind of changes
Mm,
how it does things and makes it
right.
fresh, then things kind of do get stale, and people just kind of get, I don't want to say bored, but kind of get bored, right? And then, some new company, whether it's the one that Trump will set up or whomever it sets up, then it's the new thing. People jump ship because it's so easy. There's hardly anything to lose if you're on Twitter, and you're, vocalist for whatever. You could just jump over to a new one, and then boom, link, and you can make your link to that place
Right.
over all your other social medias, and it's done. Like, it's so easy to do. So if there's a reason that, let's say, if Musk takes it and then does something people don't like, and there's an alternative that they like
Mm,
otherwise, then there's nothing to keep them at Twitter. What keeps people at Twitter? Because
nothing.
Twitter, of course, is ran by ads. They have ads, and that's how Twitter makes its money.
But if it turns
So,
private, guess what? They don't need to make revenue anymore. They don't have to answer to anybody. He could just basically use
I,
it
I yes,
as he sees fit as just a
yes,
tool. It's almost like the next Reddit, just with
but
more
in whatever
exposure.
form it ends up being,
Yeah.
right? If he leaves it the same, then it's exactly like you said. The ads go away, and then it's Twitter without ads. Okay, but if he changes things, but there's no ads, I mean,
What
it's
now?
like I said, it's private. We don't always get.
Now
Yeah, it
here's
could
the
be
other
totally
thing.
different.
What
So
if people? What if he does this? What if he pulls this off and he turns around and creates Twitter in a way that you're not being marketed to, your information's not being taken from you for any dollar value, and he just lets it grow on the value of we have an open social media platform that obviously bans the really negative stuff, but brings a community together and has open and honest discussion without prejudice. Then,
sounds like Reddit.
huh?
It sounds like Reddit
Yeah, I mean, but then he
to
has a
me.
real shot at growth. But the last thing here that I have in my mind is, do the Twitter employees have the right to say no or complain? And right off the
The
bat,
Twitter employees.
yeah, the employees, and I'm
No,
gonna say no. You just
no,
freaking work there, man. I'm
no.
sorry. Just like every other place in the world,
Yeah.
because there's lots of these articles that saying, oh, the employees are so upset because they're afraid of what Musk might do to the place. Hey,
I mean, fair, but doesn't mean it's going to change.
no, but there's been other bosses that have come into places that haven't been, parts of hostile takeovers that has destroyed companies, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
from the inside
Yeah.
out. So, grow up, guys. I get it. It is what it is, but it is not that big of a deal, right? They'll take over the company, they'll do what they want with it, so on and so forth. But your thoughts on that one, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's about it. Honestly, yeah, I'm interested to see where he goes with it. I think again, if he does get it, again, total just guessing here, but if he takes private and does exactly what he wants with it, he'll probably add an edit button. I don't know if he get rid of the length you can put in. I don't know. Maybe he'll leave that the same, keep it kind of more like like a Twitter kind of thing. But then probably add the edit button, and then yeah, I think take the ads away. And I mean, I think I would probably like it better. Again, I don't use Twitter too much.
Yeah,
but
I think.
What do you guys think? What do you think?
Let us know in the comments below what you guys think about this. It's a hot topic, right? Elon Musk is going to push the envelope of social media. He is right now stating that he wants to protect free speech, and that the primary driver behind this whole thing is that without free speech, democracy dies. And this is the hill he's willing to put his money on. So let us know in the comments below what you think as Elon Musk makes a push to basically hostily take over Twitter. So there's that.
Yep.
I honestly, I mean, I'm not surprised we're talking about it, but I'm mildly entertained, just because.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly talk about it because it's Elon is linked to so many things we already talk about, SpaceX and Tesla, tons of other things, and it is kind of in the wheelhouse of what does he do, because he is currently again the head of the other companies we follow, and if something goes wrong over here, it hopefully doesn't have anything to do with the other things that we'd like to follow that he does too. So that's kind of the idea anyway. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comments below, and we will move the discussion a little further as Corey will now take the helm and talk to us about something we spoke about a while ago, which is SpinLaunch. So with that, Corey, you can take the wheel.
Yeah, cool. So this next one comes to us from CNET, and actually it covers the topic kind of revisiting that we covered before, but there's been a little bit of updated news, so that's why we're talking about it. This one talks about SpinLaunch. So it's NASA now NASA's actually getting in with SpinLaunch to test their giant Slingshot for launching what will be satellites to space eventually. And so again, real quick, if you guys didn't see the first coverage when we talked about this before, so basically out in New Mexico near one of the spaceports out there, or near the spaceport out there, there looks like this thing, like it's a giant like can or a giant yo-yo with a smokestack sticking at the top. It's ran by a company called SpinLaunch. They're founded back in 2014, and basically what it is it's a giant like steel vacuum drum. The current one out there is about 300 feet in diameter, and it's got this arm, currently a carbon fiber arm, that spins up to 5,000 miles per hour and launches little payloads out straight at the top at that smokestack. And the idea there, they're testing what they want to eventually be able to have an alternative to conventional rockets to do the things like reduce the cost to get things up to suborbit or up to orbit, and then they say, let me see, it's 10 times reduction in cost overall and a 4-time reduction in the fuel required. Just off the cuff, those are things they're saying, versus conventional rockets, right? So that is significant. And now, of course, when we covered this before, that was pretty interesting. Now the new news here, NASA's kind of get in. They say, hey, flinging things around and throwing them straight up in space. We want to do cool stuff like that too. so NASA's getting into the fun, and they want to start flinging things around too with SpinLaunch. So that's pretty sweet, pretty cool. The cool idea here, their eventual plan is that this is just a 1/3 scale device. They're going to have this basically 3 times as large, so roughly 900 feet diameter is their full scale one that should be able to launch small satellites to almost orbit, and then there'll be probably a little rocket just to boost it that little bit extra, and get that satellites up into space just by flinging them around, which is pretty cool. So, Mike, what do you think, man?
I think a lot. No, here's the way too much. Number one. Number two, what do I think? I think that it's velocity is an extreme thing. In order to get into space, you need velocity, right? Everybody thinks you need thrust, but that's not the truth. What you really need is velocity. It's all based on speed. And the part of this concept that really intrigues me is that it's got, I guess, the huge burden of not having to use an explosive element as its propulsive unit, which is great for trying to put things into space. Unfortunately, that would be better if you could combine that with human space travel, because taking a human off of a powder keg would be awesome. But unfortunately, putting them in a centrifuge is equally as bad as lighting them on fire.
No,
right?
no, they would be jellied to death easily in this thing.
It's mixed feelings on this, because I think it's fantastic in the fact that they have an application that they can use this for. But I think that the maintenance costs are something that over time may actually be more cumbersome than they think, because the wear and tear on this type of device has to be immense, number one. Number two, before the show, you spoke of the fact that once you release...
I was going to mention...
Well, I won't even bring it up then, but the thing is, it's a balancing act, right? And the problem is, if this goes wrong, this could go catastrophically wrong for both the object and the people surrounding it in different ways than we have seen catastrophic space failures before, right? So I have mixed feelings on it, because overall, I think it's a fantastic concept. I'm intrigued at it, what it can do. But the practicality has to really suit the needs. And does it scale? Because if you go ahead and take it from there, because scalability with what you're about to talk about is a huge factor.
Yeah. So some of the things I just mentioned to Mike just off the cuff before the show was they're going to scale this thing up 3 times its current size, and that'll bring it up to like 900 feet in diameter. And again, little bit of physics, if they're making the diameter and the arm further, and they're going to expect to spin at the same radial speed, you're going to have extreme increase in the amount of forces out there. And of course, that lets you throw things out the top even faster, which helps them get to orbit. But like Mike said, there are inherent dangers of so much built up momentum and energy stored in the motion of all the moving parts, that wear and tear will be a problem. But also, like you said, possible failures if something doesn't go quite to plan. I'm just thinking, if you want to, just a quick idea for everybody out there, if you've ever seen airlines test, or rather not airlines, but companies who make turbines for airliners, and they have you've seen the slow motion video, they got the blades turning, and then they purposely have one of the blades come loose from the inside, the fans, and it has a catastrophic failure of the inside of the turbine, and they're made to contain all that energy, but the engine completely destroys itself. And of course, same kind of thing here. If you've got something spinning around that kind of speeds, the mass of the energy stored in that rotating mass is very, very substantial. And yeah, you're right. It's a danger, kind of in the same way that rockets are a danger when they launch. This thing also is going to be something you don't want to really have a manned facility.
Well, look, I mean, your timing has to be precise. Right? Like, you're just saying that, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're doing this as a controlled environment and you want it to release the exact time, normally your timing for most things is down to like second. You're talking about milliseconds that this thing has to be released at the exact time to go right vertical at the space you want it to. If you're talking an arm that's swinging at 1,000 RPM, but you and I are most assuredly thinking that this thing's going to be like at 4,000 RPM, maybe 5, when it finally lets something go, right? So
I have to do some math and figure out what 5,000 miles per hour is in a 900. Well, I guess it's 300 currently in this article, 300 foot diameter, but nevertheless,
it's
the RPM, the speed is
going to be big, right? And then the second part of it is can you make something that can, if you release at the wrong time, can you make anything that could withstand that force that literally isn't 18 feet of or 180 feet of Mother Earth, right? Between you and this device to stop it from, just literally shooting off and taking out of town 15 miles away because it's gonna be going fast. It ain't gonna be going slow. And
Mhm.
here's the other thing. You can't count on this to be a slow accelerator, right? So most rockets leave the launch pad at a slower speed and gradually increase speed, right?
Right.
This thing has to start at speed and expect a level of decay as it reaches its maximum altitude as to where it could fire a rocket if it doesn't want to use
Oh,
all.
you mean the
You follow what I'm saying, right?
yeah, you mean the escape
Yes.
speed out of the barrel, let's
Yeah. So
call it.
let's say you want to get it.
Yeah,
I
I see what you
mean,
mean.
so is there an advantage to getting this thing only to 10,000 feet and then lighting a rocket? Does that save you enough fuel? Or what's the altitude that you're trying to primarily reach with this as the type of device to aid you to getting to space? So that to me is another question that I'd like to have.
Yeah, I think there's, since it is
Mm,
different now than rockets, I'm thinking things like, what's the payload weight factors in exactly with all the things you just
mm,
asked. And along with that same thing of weight, and I'm thinking of things on a rotating arm, mass, and then the force that would go with that. I'm thinking also when the object is or the payload is released
woo!
inside this
Mm-hmm.
object, I'm wondering, and I haven't seen it. I'm still looking around on their webpage, but trying to see if they've kind of addressed, at least publicly, how they're going to address or counteract that change in mass on one arm. Because you can see there's in the diagram, you can see there's a weight on there, and they've counterbalance it. Of course, it's a
Mm-hmm.
centrifuge; it needs to be in balance. But then we're purposely letting go of one of the objects on one arm. So what exactly? Maybe
Ooh, I
the
figured
maybe
it
the
out.
mass on the other side moves
Yeah, I
closer
was
to
just
the
gonna
axis of
say that's it.
rotation,
Yeah,
which goes along with conservation of angular
yep.
momentum, just like us helicopter pilots would be familiar with, which is what I was thinking of. But I was curious
Yeah,
if they said it
it
anywhere.
could
But
be an automatic release where as soon as it releases that, it literally
mhm.
retracts the other
Yeah,
side completely and
I'm sure it has to be.
shortens it up to a point where it's
Mhm.
uh
Just absorbs that extra, increase
it's
in, well,
it's so
energy.
funny.
Well, not increase of
Yeah.
energy, but the conservation of
As
energy.
you were saying it, it literally went through my mind and I was like, shorten the arm. That's it. Just shorten
Yeah,
the arm
yeah,
and
yep, yep.
you're
That's what I was
halfway
saying. It
home.
just brings it in the amount that the whatever's calculated versus the mass, and yeah, it should work. But
Even better, if
yeah,
they could time okay, hypothetically, if they could time the one projectile going up, they could possibly also just jettison part of the other side of the arm at the exact same time. And when they do, they just have a safety catch for the jettisoned part of the arm, which is just the other weight on the other side that goes in the opposite direction and it fires into a dummy weight and then it fires the other one into space. So they literally could have
I mean,
two released at the exact same time and just capture the other one or make it a dummy weight that just explodes on the impact. It's like a dumb weight. I don't
I'm
know.
also wondering if they could boost their rotation at the moment of release by changing the arm on the weighted arm on the other side prior to release of the payload.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could get an extra boost, extra kick right then.
Hey, that's really
Um,
we we're probably under or overthinking it so badly that it's just
this is
funny,
what
but
we talk
hey.
about, though.
Yeah, we do. We do talk about this garbage. I
But
didn't think
anyway,
about that, but you could. You could.
yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
like the last little slingshot. I wonder if you could pick up maybe 10, 15% on that
Hmm.
one event alone. I don't. Hey, folks, that's
Yeah. But
if
yep.
there's a
There you go.
physicist
Yeah.
out there that can explain this to us, by all means, jump in and let
Yeah.
us know where we are.
But this is, yeah, it's fun to talk about. So anyway, NASA's on board, and we'll finishing that up. First orbital launches of the full scale device, hopefully by 2025. So
Hmm.
we'll have more. We'll keep following that and see what else we can find. So thanks so much. Please like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. We follow, a bunch of cool, crazy stuff like this, and we appreciate all the support. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Hey, folks, guess what? We're about to wrap this one up, but we got one more for you, and this one's coming to you from Airbus and New Atlas. And this wouldn't be a real show if we didn't have one from New Atlas at the very least, because they seem to be like one of our go-tos, right? So this one comes to us from New Atlas, and it's basically saying that Airbus is ready to go out and take a swing at basically a bird-inspired active wing control, and they're actually going to start doing their testing inside of a wind tunnel on this design.
Hmm.
And what they're saying here is right now, Airbus is moving ahead with its Vision aircraft. It's called the Extra Performance Wing Project. It was born from their Albatross 1 project from 2019, which saw engineers use a scale model plane with flapping wingtips. But I don't know why you'd call that
Hmm.
Albatross. That's different. Anyhow, this time they're going to take a Cessna Citation 7 is what it looks like, a business jet, fit it with gust sensors, pop-up spoilers, a multi-positional, what they call it, multifunctional trailing edges,
Right.
and they're going to use what do we call it?
Uh,
Bio
bio.
symmetry? No, bio something or other.
Sorry. Various technology inspired by biomimicry, meaning
Biomimicry
technology that's mimicking in this case, design of bird
of a bird wing,
wing, how bird
right?
wings
Right.
function.
So
Yeah.
basically, and what they're going to do is they're going to go out and try this thing out, and they're going to see if they can have something that responds to turbulence and gusts of wind to lessen the load on an airframe, reducing the need to reinforce the structure, saving considerable weight on the actual design of the wing.
Mhm.
Okay. Now that there is a need for this in aviation. What this really yields from them, I'm not really sure. Now, the reason why they're using a citation, I'm sure, is because it's easier to type certificate that as a quote unquote special typed aircraft or a experimental. But
Right.
man, are we
Test
at the
platform.
are we at the point now where we could finally see wings perform active advanced technology moves that mimic that of a bird that give us, say, more endurance, lessen the weight of the wing and give us more lift? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, this whole thing, I posted another link down below. It leads to the press release from Airbus back in September 21, which kind of was the precursor to this article we found recently, obviously on New Atlas. And yeah, it's kind of going along with their idea that they want to increase the efficiency of the aircraft, but also reduce carbon emissions. It's one of their big decarbonization objectives, or ways they want to do that. So, of course, going along with that, regardless of how you want to go with decarbonization, making your airplane fly more efficiently is always going to be something that's beneficial for being able to carry more passengers. Tons of good reasons you want to make your aircraft much more as efficient as possible. And I think, because we've seen technologies where the wing changes shape in flight, changes its diameter, changes its camber, obviously all that, but changes the chord. I've even seen there where that actually makes the wing longer, the chord, through the middle. And it's all quite interesting stuff. I think what it goes to is to see if they can make it so that it's something they can actually deploy on their aircraft. That something actually can put in full scale aircraft, and it's something that they would feel they want to put on the line. I think Airbus, the way they go about how they want to improve their technology and everything, is something that if they can find a way to make this work, I think they're probably going to do it, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know about you, but Airbus, I think that's right up their alley, making things that would function more, again, based on how birds move their wings. Not so much the previous one you talked about, the Albatross one,
Right.
not so much that. That seems like just kind of hinges at the tips.
So,
but yeah.
I mean, so again, one of the things that comes to mind for me is that I do think Airbus would pull it off if they found out if there was a big enough payoff, right? So if the big enough payoff is they turn around, they say, look, if we redesign the wing and it's suddenly at a certain altitude, the wing changes a little bit of shape, there's a little bit more inflection in the wing, and it makes it more efficient at altitude. And then at certain altitudes, the wing bends a little bit more to give you more efficiency. And then over time, the wing structure itself is actually lighter. So we actually save 15% on fuel costs over a longer span.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not going to be a fully articulated wing where it does multiple things that we all envision would be part of the future, but it might take a hybrid example of the wings that we have today with just a few extra moving parts that they actually say, hey, with this amount of articulation and lessening the weight of the wing, we actually save 30% more fuel, which suddenly becomes a hybrid of what we're seeing in the biomimicry field, right? And I think if they didn't see that coming from a wind tunnel, that obviously then they wouldn't move forward. But obviously with Albatross doing what it did, they saw that there was enough to invest in moving into another level of articulation of wings.
Yeah, because that was the full scale airplane. Unless I think you might have mentioned that, but yeah, that was full scale.
It was full scale.
Mhm.
So, I mean, bold move, and I understand the part of using a citation. That makes perfect sense to me. You know, it's easily more adapted. Obviously, that airframe's got different tie-ins to it, and they can use a smaller scale wing, so it's easier to prototype those pieces, put them out there, and the
Mhm.
reinforcing structures not having to be laden with so much weight, so they can control the weight a little bit better, and to see how that works, that
Right.
makes sense. Now, the flapping wingtips on the Albatross 1 are one thing, but the thing that really kind of, I guess, comes to mind for me is the gust sensors with pop-up spoilers. Now, pop-up spoilers are usually designed in a way to scrub off airspeed, right? And to actually
Mhm.
induce drag at a moment. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yep.
kind of wondering is if that's one of the things that they're also looking at, that with this pop-up spoiler, they're like, hey, you know what? At this point, we realize that we would lose efficiency if we gained more speed. So we want to slow ourselves down because we don't need the velocity. We just want to maintain the same level of lift, which would be interesting to
Mhm.
see if that's what it does. I don't know.
Yep.
I'll be curious.
Yeah, I mean, they even mention specifics down here, like owls, how owls fly more quietly and handle strong winds.
Hmm.
So they've got like they're actually looking at specific types of
Right.
birds and how those specific birds and the shapes of those birds' wings actually move. So yeah, I mean, I could see exactly what you're saying. You know that it's definitely they want the ability to make the wings obviously slippier, but also retain
Hmm.
control, but also like at times make it so that it's more effective at creating drag at certain times.
So
Uh,
here's the thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
With jet aircraft, sometimes you do encounter places where we had flaps 45 and flaps 22, and sometimes we actually would have to do a calculation, look at the wind, and the wind was greater than what we could use flaps 45 for, compared to airspeed. So we'd have to do a flaps 22 landing because the winds were great, and we couldn't risk a gust coming up at that time of landing. So if they have these
Right.
active
Yep.
devices on wings, and it could stabilize an aircraft coming in for, say, high wind landings, which happen often, where it impedes the ability for air travel, and suddenly you could
Hmm.
increase an aircraft from, say, a max gust of, say, 25 knots to, say, 45 knots, and you could
Hmm.
typically say that it also shaves maybe 10 knots off of your approach speed and landing speed. That puts you in a safety margin, makes the pilots a little bit more comfortable in taking the aircraft into those higher wind environments.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself like, coming in and saying you've calculated everything out, and you say, okay, we want to land, we want to be in the touchdown zone at like 160,
Yeah,
airspeed indicated.
that's fast.
Imagine if the aircraft and the wings, I mean, we're talking
Yeah,
heavies and
yeah.
stuff, but imagine if you had the wings and stuff, and if you could see out when you're landing, but if you could look outside, you can see the gusts hitting the aircraft, and the wing is like changing its
Oh,
shape
yeah.
actively as you're
That'd be
landing,
weird.
and you look at the indicator airspeed, and it's like pegged
160.
160, and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
that's cool.
Well, look, so
So
they say the old, what was it, the F-117, the stealth bomber, used to be like, the way that aircraft articulated and the way it was controlled was you moved the flight surface. Actually, you moved the stick, and the flight surface that would move accordingly with the aircraft was never the same flight surface, like, ever. It was actually completely calculated on a fly-by-wire system that had nothing to do
yeah,
with quote unquote
yeah,
aerodynamics. So they say. Don't know if
yeah.
that's true. Anyhow, folks, that's all we got time for. If you got any more left to say about this one?
No, no, no. It's pretty interesting. We do know birds have been flying for a long time, and they know what they're doing.
Yes.
So if we can continue learning, all the better.
I hope the bird that has been flying the longest gets a break. That poor guy. So,
He's been up
he's
there a
been up
while.
there a while. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate the comments, and thanks for your support. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll be back next Thursday to see you. And we appreciate the time. Thanks again, everybody.
Take it easy. See you next
Peace.
time.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Later. You know where we are in the song. There you go. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Have a great night. Bye bye.
Bye.